Question. Ever hear or say the following words, but I don't have the time? Hmm, let's talk about it. Back in a minute. Hey, good morning, good morning. This is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. How's everybody doing today? Hope that this audio video, as always, finds everybody doing well. I am definitely sitting here with my tall, hot cup of Joe. It is actually nice and just enough. Like it's cool in the morning, warm in the afternoon, pretty chilly at night, though. I have to say that. Yeah. This is when a cup of hot Joe comes in handy, and in the evening, a cup of decaf tea. Yeah. How you doing today? Hope that everybody's doing well. You listen, I want to talk to you this morning about when people say, but I don't have the time. I've said it. You've said it. The whole world has said it at least one time in our lives. You know what? I don't believe that. I know this. We are all given the same amount of time, 24 hours a day. Okay. What we need to do is rearrange our time of the things that we do. But I want to go further on this. Now, I know a lot of people, they're just not interested in time management. But for those that stick around and give a listen, and I commend you for it, because I'll tell you why. Time is way more valuable than cash, because cash you can always get back again. Time you can never get back again. Am I right or am I right? I think it has to do with wanting to do something enough more than the time factor. Sometimes all of us, we fall back on the, but I don't have the time excuse, if you will, or lament, because the truth be told is maybe we want to avoid doing that thing. And then I said to myself, well, why do we want to avoid sometimes doing that thing, even though we know in advance that that thing is something that at the end of the day will end up benefiting us in some way, shape, manner, or form? Am I right or am I right? More than likely, am I right? I am right. I know I am right on this, all goofing aside. No, but seriously, here's the thing. If we know we have to do a task, let's say facing our budget. Yeah, I know. Hearing a lot of grimaces, invisible grimaces there. Facing the numbers. Okay, that's just an excuse. That's just an excuse when people say, I don't have the time. I think it's a way of avoiding it. Here's a trick. If there is something that you absolutely dread, but can you make that task a little more pleasant? Number one, free yourself of distraction. For example, if you've been putting off facing your numbers and doing a budget, just saying this as the example. This is just the example. Of course, there are other activities that maybe you need to do, like respond to a letter that needs to be responded to, or make that phone call. If there is that unpleasant task that you know has to get done, do all you can to make it just that much more pleasant. Now, sometimes people do not want to accomplish that task because maybe they feel a little embarrassed to make that call. Is there somebody around you that maybe shouldn't be hearing your phone call? Get out of the listener's point of range of hearing it and make the phone call, for example. If you need to sit down to your budget, but there are people running around, jumping around, screaming and yelling, that is not the time or place to sit down and figure out your budget. Am I right or am I right? Or if you're just feeling like a little sad or whatever, put on a little joyful music prior to that task. And who knows, that might snap you out of it. I don't think it's always a question of, I don't have the time. I think it's more a question of, I don't want to face unpleasantry. Does this ring true for anyone? Because, and another trick to like breaking down things. If you break down things into tiny bites, an unpleasant task. Okay, sometimes, and I've said this on previous shows, sometimes there might have been an order that I've placed for an item, and I really want the item, I really need the item, not just only wanted it, but actually needed it. And then it would sit in a box. And it would sit in box. Why? Because I was avoiding reading the teeny tiny print that often comes with the directions of that brand new shiny item that I really felt that I needed, right? And then it would just sit in the box for a week or two or 3. I don't like that. It's wrong. It's not good. So instead, I decided, well, I'm going to make this pleasant. If I can't read that teeny tiny print, I will get the model number of that item. I will go to the website. Thankfully, we live in this day and age where we could do these things. Back in the old days, if you couldn't read the pamphlet, too bad, so sad, or you made a phone call and you had to deal with customer service. And who knows, hopefully, if they were in a great mood or not for that question that you might have had, or patient, we don't know. But nowadays, we have a lot of choices in those areas. So I say this, take full advantage of those choices whenever possible. We all have the same amount of hours in the day. What do we do with them? That's the question. If there's something that you're avoiding, not because you don't have the time, we come up with that as a knee jerk reflex excuse. I don't have enough time. Not really. Probably do have enough time because sometimes people get very creative in their procrastination. Okay, it's really also a matter of procrastination. Why do people procrastinate? We put things off because we feel it's unpleasant. We just feel it's unpleasant. We're trying to avoid something, some sort of emotional pain, for example. So make things as pleasant as possible. Do your bills when you have to do your bills. If you still, sit down and do bills or whatever it is, or just go over your budget in a nice, pleasant, calm, quiet environment. Put on a little bit of nice music. Make yourself a cup of your favorite beverage, a nice cup of herbal tea if this is something you enjoy. Whatever it is, make it pleasant. Shut your phone off. Shut your phone off or the ringer. Like if you still have a landline, and some of us still do, believe it or not, shut off the ringer. That's it. Disconnect mentally. And then you'll be actually amazed as to how much you actually will get done just by doing these simple tests. I remember putting off things and say, why am I putting off this thing? This is a few years back. Why am I putting off this thing? You're very totally capable, Jan, of doing it. I'm like, I said, well, what is it that you don't like? Oh, because if you do that thing at that time of the day, rearrange your schedule. If you know, for example, that at 2:30, 3 o'clock, let's say folks that have young folks coming back from school, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you design your schedule to sit down and go over your budget at that time. Well, yeah, that's maybe not the most optimal time because kids need your attention. It's a little more distracting at that moment. Bump up whatever you have to do if you have the blessing of working from home, for example. Bump that up to an earlier time. It makes no logical sense at all whatsoever to do that mentally detailing test. Sometimes, now listen, I record my shows early in the morning, and I mean early in the morning. Okay, I have been known to record a lot of my shows at 5:30 a.m., 6 o'clock. Okay, why? Because life happens later on. What happens? Phones ring, other distractions and disturbances, and things of that nature. So for me, I know my sweet spot for making a video or an audio recording because life happens. We have no way of determining when someone decides to make that phone call to you, whatever. Find that sweet spot, work with it. And I don't think it's a matter of you don't have the time. Perhaps you're just trying to avoid a bit of unpleasantness or distraction. And I get that. The distraction factor, I totally get. But the great news is we totally can fix that. There you go. Hey, listen, everybody, there is something I would appreciate if you did for me, and it's have an amazing, fantastic day. Take good care, everybody. Bye-bye.